So we're getting one vision. This is John of Patmos's apocalyptic vision, because there were multiple apocalyptic narratives. It was a practice for a very long time to write apocalyptic, books. We see different apocalyptic texts. We see it in different cultures. So this one, I think, is particularly powerful for its ability to narrate liberation in a way that's very compelling. It's cathartic. The ability to kind of project the oppressing torment onto something and galvanize a group of people to overcome that oppression is very much part of this kind of narrative. And I think that's why it's been used over and over and over and over and over again, because of the power in the narrative itself. But like you say, the root, the Greek root of apocalypse, it is an unveiling. It is a revealing of something that isn't known. And I do love that word play in a way. I mean, it's linguistics, but surely that is what this means, that it's revealing a future that we have yet to realize. But I do think there is some revealing aspects in the text itself when you dig into it. And it can be revealing for each of us. It can lead to our own revelations. And I think that's where I would love the work to go forward. The Bible's beautifully crafted. We start in Eden and we end in this kind of Edenic vision of a world tree. All of this is found in the New Jerusalem, right? This is beautiful ending that is pure and clean and beautiful. And so the story itself kind of wraps, itself up beautifully in that way. There's just problematics in some of these structures, when we look at how these certain ideas are depicted, because that's saying something to us. If we as a woman are looking at this woman that is condemned as bad, well, I should not be that. And then this woman that looks good, well, she is said to be a virgin. These are saying certain things to us, and it's worth unpacking. Again, if I pull the Whore of Babylon off the page, which is what I've been doing a lot today with you, and that's a little bit what my dissertation did, and you look at how she is this figure reimagined over and over and over again, particularly for my dissertation in the United States cultural imagination. They place her here, they place her there, they use her again to other this. And so you see, well, yeah, okay, she dies in the book, but boy, is she alive in the culture. She keeps coming back, and it's a cyclical rebirth. She's brought back and she dies, and she brought back and she dies, and she brought back. So she challenges the apocalyptic linear timeline in the very way that she's utilized in the culture. And so I think that's kind of a rich way to start looking at coming back around again, recircling these things, and particularly psychologically, you kind of keep circling these complexes and you keep circling these issues psychologically. That too is a powerful story. I mean, the apocalypse has captured our imagination, but I do think that cyclical death and rebirth is an equally powerful story. And that brings me back to a conversation we had a while back, and your question, which has just stayed with me, is what does it mean to be a woman outside of enculturation? It's a powerful question. What does it mean to be this, or what does it mean to be that? I mean, that is a big question bubbling up right now across the board, because we're recognizing that these damaging systems are externally, we combat them, and also internalized, as we're programmed to think about ourselves in these ways. And to your point, we don't even know how to experience the world without that programming. What does that feel like? What does that look like? If we dig into patriarchy, a patriarchal structure requires control of patrilineal lineage. So you have to ensure that your vessel, for lack of a better term, is pure in order to carry on your patrilineal line. So I think starting at that basic foundation of patriarchy, you get a whole kind of worldview that requires female containment in order to manage that society in that way. Now, like you, I know you've said this, I see that going back way further to the political nature of the myth. In this myth, the Whore of Babylon is Rome, yes, and she's also a representation of, ancient goddess cult worship that was practiced in Rome. And so you see this degrading of her, depiction of her as dangerous, the flattening of her, and taking away her procreative power, giving that authority to the male deity in the same way that patriarchy does it for the men. So you see that reflected in the mythology. We see that in this Whore of Babylon figure. We see a matricide, and we see a mother killed, a mother goddess killed, and the patriarchy takes over. And I think that is reflected even to this day in our current political literature and the fundamentalist Christian control of female bodies.
The phrase, the Whore of Babylon, is this enigmatic phrase that's just kind of like out there. I've heard of this phrase, but I couldn't locate it in the Bible. I don't know anything about it other than the title itself. When I was going through our questions for today, even the writing out of her name or the epithet, because she's nameless, right? She doesn't have a name. I couldn't even write out Whore of Babylon. I was like, I don't even know how Stephanie did it. Wrote that over and over and over again. I had to make an acronym of it because it was so painful to just be with her in a way that feels delegitimizing of her selfhood, of her personhood, especially without a name. Kudos to you for just the strength that it took to be with her through every moment of this doctoral phase, and to not shy away from, naming her in the way that she's been named, and like imbuing that with power. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie. Now is the time that you can let people know all about your wonderful work and how they can find out more about you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Annalisa, for having me. This has been amazing. And yeah, if you want to find out more about my work, you can head over to my website. It is stephaniezajchowski.com, and there will be a link in the box below because my name is very difficult to spell. I am going to start a workshop in September. I'm going to be offering a workshop in September, really kind of digging into the material we talked about here, looking at these kind of identifying narratives that bind us, that we have internalized, and really starting that work of reclaiming those narratives and what that looks like.
Wonderful. Okay. So thank you to everybody at home. If you like what you saw, please like this video and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. We always love comments. And also, if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, then I encourage you to head on over to my Patreon page and learn more about membership. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao.